The chandeliers in the Grand Riviera Hotel sparkled like constellations. Laughter danced through the marble lobby, echoing off gold-trimmed walls. Elegance oozed from every corner, the kind of place where you needed a platinum card just to breathe. But amidst the glamour stood a woman who didn't quite fit in. Her name was Isla Bennett. Dark curls loosely tied back, wearing a modest navy blue coat and simple shoes, she stood quietly near the front desk, clutching a leather-bound notebook. She looked like she'd stepped out of another world, a simpler, quieter one. Her eyes scanned the lobby, calm but distant, like someone looking for more than just a room key. "Can I help you, ma'am?" the receptionist asked politely. Before Isla could respond, a sharp voice cut through the air like glass shattering. "Oh, come on. Who let the librarian in?" Heads turned. The voice belonged to Vanessa Hartley, a platinum blonde powerhouse in 6-inch heels, designer suit, and enough confidence to own the room, or so she thought. She was the CEO of a major marketing firm, in town for a high-profile conference hosted right here at the Grand Riviera. Vanessa flicked her perfect hair over one shoulder, eyeing Isla like she was a misplaced antique. "Sweetheart, this isn't a charity shelter. Maybe try somewhere a little more affordable." A few executives nearby chuckled nervously, unsure whether to laugh or cringe. Isla looked at Vanessa, smiled faintly, and said nothing. Just nodded politely to the receptionist and quietly stepped aside. Vanessa rolled her eyes and strutted toward the bar. But what Vanessa didn't know, and neither did anyone else in that grand lobby, was that Isla wasn't here to stay at the hotel. She owned it. And she had come to quietly observe something money couldn't always reveal, the soul of her staff, and her guests. Because behind Isla's unassuming presence was a woman who had inherited an empire, hotels in 10 countries, resorts in the Maldives, a ski lodge in Switzerland. But she kept her name out of headlines. No flashy red carpets. No public drama. She had learned long ago that you see people's true hearts when they think you have nothing. The next morning, the hotel buzzed with activity. Vanessa's marketing firm had taken over the East Ballroom for a women in business breakfast. Her assistants scrambled, triple-checking name cards and floral arrangements. Isla sat silently at the back of the room. No name tag. No entourage. Just her notebook and coffee. Vanessa took the stage with practiced poise, dazzling the crowd with charisma and confidence. Her speech was bold, assertive, and full of buzzwords: scaling impact, branding genius, dominance in the digital age. But halfway through the Q&A session, Isla raised her hand. "Yes, you," Vanessa called, squinting slightly. "The lady in the back." "I'm curious," Isla said calmly. "What would you say is more important in business, perception or purpose?" There was a brief pause. Vanessa smirked. "Both," she replied. "But let's be honest, perception sells. No one cares how kind your CFO is if your brand isn't iconic." A few people clapped, unsure. Isla nodded slowly. "I suppose. But what if kindness is your brand? Would people still buy into it?" Vanessa chuckled. "That's cute. But in the real world, kindness doesn't close deals." That night, a violent thunderstorm rolled over the city. Streets flooded, and flight cancellations trapped dozens of guests at the hotel. Power flickered once or twice, though the backup generators held. Isla, as always, remained unnoticed. She wandered the lobby, helping elderly guests with bags, offering bottled water to stressed-out parents, and even folding blankets for kids who had to sleep on the couches near the lounge. She never mentioned who she was. She just helped. Meanwhile, Vanessa stood by the bar, glued to her phone, demanding a private shuttle, calling her assistant useless, and posting filtered selfies with captions like, "Storm can't stop a queen." Then something unexpected happened. An elderly woman collapsed near the front entrance. Panic swept the lobby. Vanessa stepped back, worried the woman might fall on her heels. Isla dropped everything and rushed forward. Call for medical, she told the front desk. Then she knelt by the woman, comforting her gently, talking to her until help arrived. Staff and guests watched in awe. Later, a young receptionist approached Isla. "Miss. I just wanted to say thank you. That was incredible. I didn't know you were a guest here." Isla smiled. "I'm not. Just someone passing through." The next morning, Vanessa received a formal note slid under her suite door. "Please join us in the presidential lounge at noon for a private meeting. Management." She arrived, assuming it was a sponsorship offer or perhaps an apology for the previous night's chaos. Instead, she found a simple room. Sunlight poured through tall windows. A long table stood with only one person seated at the end. Isla. Dressed simply, but with quiet authority. Vanessa frowned. "You again? What is this?" Isla gestured to a chair. "Sit, please." Vanessa hesitated but complied. "Look, if this is about the old woman last night, I didn't mean to." Isla interrupted gently. "This isn't about her. It's about you." "What about me?" "I own this hotel," Isla said calmly. Silence. Vanessa blinked. "What?" "I'm Isla Bennett, owner of the Grand Riviera Group. I was observing the staff, the guests, and the energy of this place." Vanessa's face went pale. You own this?" Isla nodded. "And I saw everything. The way you mocked me. The way you treated your own assistants. The way you stepped back when someone needed help." "I didn't know who you were," Vanessa stammered. "That's the point," Isla replied. "You treated me based on what I looked like. Not who I was. And it revealed a lot." Vanessa swallowed hard, unsure whether to apologize or explain. Isla leaned forward. "You speak of women in power. Of leadership. Of influence. But power without empathy is hollow. Leadership without kindness is just ego in heels." For once, Vanessa was speechless. Over the next few weeks, things changed. Isla didn't ban Vanessa from the hotel. She didn't make a public scene. Instead, she sent a quiet letter of reflection to the board of Vanessa's company, highlighting the values she believed should define women in leadership. And something curious happened. Vanessa changed. She stopped yelling at interns. She started attending meetings earlier. She even launched a mentorship program at her firm for first-generation college students, most of whom had once been ignored just like Isla. One evening, back at the Grand Riviera, Vanessa spotted Isla again, this time in the lounge, sipping tea, reading. She walked over nervously. "I wanted to thank you," Vanessa said softly. "For what you said. For not humiliating me when you could have." Isla looked up, her eyes kind. "Everyone's allowed a second page in their story. As long as they choose to write it differently." Vanessa nodded, humbled. Then, without fanfare, she sat beside Isla. Two women. Once divided by ego and misunderstanding. Now connected by a quiet bridge of truth. Months later, the Grand Riviera Hotel released a campaign that went viral. It wasn't flashy. Just black and white clips of guests helping each other during the storm. Staff comforting children. Isla folding blankets. No names. No logos. The slogan read, "What if kindness was the real luxury?" The ad won awards. But more importantly, it changed hearts. Because the quietest woman in the room had taught the world what true power looked like. And it wasn't in titles, or outfits, or followers. It was in how you treat people when you think no one important is watching.